where a man named Ronan strolled in about 10 years ago and swept her off her feet. After a 2-year distanced relationship, she left her family and friends to join Ronan with his daughter and begin a new life in Edmonton. They worked together on the road in their family's railroad operation before deciding to settle down in Edmonton, where they continued to make new babies. Welcome, Shyla.
Good evening. What a wonderful opportunity this is to share with all of you a little bit about our family. My husband Ronan and I have 3 children. My stepdaughter Megan is 13 years old and she's an honor student in the 8th grade. Blaine is 6 years old next week and he's in kindergarten this year. And Carson will be 4 years old in June and he's in his first year of grit. Carson is a happy little boy who lights up a room with a smile and melts hearts with his hugs. He lives with a global developmental delay, a seizure disorder, low muscle tone, respiratory issues that cause intermittent needs for home oxygen, and a swallowing dysfunction that requires him to be G-tube fed. The past few years marked moments of great joy, paralleled by moments of great sadness. The day Carson was delivered by emergency C-section, we were told that he had hydrocephalus. This refers to an abnormal accumulation of fluid in the cavities or ventricles of his brain. The cause would determine his prognosis. Finding out that Carson has disabilities has been more of a process rather than an event. First, Carson was referred for an ultrasound of his head. It showed that the ventricles in his brain were only mildly dilated. We were very relieved to hear that. Weeks later, he had a second ultrasound of his head. This time there was a slight increase in ventricular size. His pediatrician referred us to a neurosurgeon, and waiting for that appointment was nothing short of agonizing. I Googled everything I could about hydrocephalus and I fretted over his every action. I was so completely consumed with worry, I couldn't concentrate. I remember one night in particular, while lying in bed, my face started to feel numb from my chin all the way up the side of my head. My vision was blurry and my throat was tight, kind of like right now. I was so filled with fear, I couldn't breathe. For days before that night, I had horrible thoughts of embarrassment and shame over a precious little boy that I was supposed to love unconditionally. I wondered what I had done to deserve this. What would people think? I grieved hard over the loss of a dream I had barely begun to live. I was finally a mother to 2 perfect children. I had it all. Why us? Would Ronan be able to love him like he loved the other 2? He connected with Megan and Blade through their thirst for knowledge. Would Megan want her friends to come over if her brother was disabled? And poor Blade. He was so young and I was drowning in depression. He deserved a better mom than me. I still remember feeling like I wasn't qualified to care for Carson or meet his needs. The day of the neurosurgery appointment finally arrived. We were told the dilation was mild and he wouldn't require a shunt at that time. We would have to wait. If he didn't begin reaching milestones appropriately, we would do an MRI. I was happy to hear that he didn't need brain surgery, but I was so frustrated by the unknown. At Carson's 6-month checkup, he was still floppy. He slipped through our hands and we held him under his arms. He hadn't learned to roll over. He couldn't sit. He still couldn't hold his head up. The pediatrician ordered an MRI. This time, I was hopeful that it would show an increase in the size of the ventricles, because I wanted the neurosurgeon to fix him. When he was 8 months old, I sat disappointed in the neurosurgeon's office while he enthusiastically shared the results of the MRI. There was no change, no need for a shunt. I tried to hide my disappointment and wondered what kind of mother hoped their child needed brain surgery. What was I doing wrong? If everything was fine, then why wasn't he developing properly? So many things were different about Carson compared to other babies. Aside from his delayed development, he flapped his right arm repeatedly. He panted and had strange, noisy breathing. He sometimes stiffened like a board and he didn't make good eye contact. On Mother's Day in 2006, when Carson was 11 months old, I rushed him to the hospital after he had his first seizure. I was so worried for him. It was in that fear that I realized how much my little boy meant to me. It was then that I realized I had to get on with the business of living. I started to admit out loud that I was feeling overwhelmed, and I began asking a lot of questions. I made a promise to myself and my children to save the research until they were in bed. That's not always easy. I constantly have to remind myself of advice from my mom. She says to act as if until it is. Until this point, I wasn't adapting to our new life. I was waiting for Carson to get better. The only way I will feel like a good mom is if I act like one. We need help. I resented that. I wanted to be able to raise my kids without home visits. I wanted to know instinctively how to teach them and help them grow. But the truth is, I had no experience with a child like mine, or how to help my family through the stress that we feel. I decided to seek learning opportunities, to take what I liked from those opportunities and leave the rest. I showed great interest in caring for Carson in the hospital, and the nurses and doctors never underestimate what I'm capable of. Slowly but surely, I began to believe what others were already saying. Not only are we qualified to care for Carson, but we are the best people to care for him. He needs his family. We are the center of his care and his education. Nobody knows him or loves him like we do. Our 13-year-old wants to be a doctor as a result of her exposure and experience with Carson. This is a real dream that she is no doubt capable of bringing to fruition. She is well on her way. She has taught herself about the human brain to better understand her brother. She can do G-tube feeds, hook up his oxygen and monitor, deal with seizures, and follow the emergency plan flawlessly. Not only is she not ashamed to have her friends over, she takes pride in the fact that she is a member of a special family. But don't be fooled by Megan's beautiful and brave exterior. She worries and has fears. She's growing up very fast. Blade has definitely been affected by the frequent interruptions in our lives caused by Carson's seizures, respiratory infections, and hospital stays. He requires a lot of attention and reassurance. And the fact that he wears his emotions on his sleeve challenges us daily. But that being said, we know that a temper tantrum, back talk, and messes are something to be grateful for. And you know, I can hardly believe I ever worried about Ronan's ability to bond with Carson. It is brought up a side of my husband that I'm grateful to know. He takes care of his medical and emotional needs beautifully. Tonight, my confidence is high. Carson has shown our family that if we try, we can endure anything. Our little boy has survived several life-threatening seizures and many respiratory infections, including pneumonia. We've spent weeks apart from one another because of Carson's frequent hospital stays, and more than once, standing over our child in the pediatric intensive care unit. We have contemplated what our days would be like if we lost our precious baby. The result is a strong and compassionate family who believes that each day that we have to spend together is truly a blessing. We are surrounded by a wonderful support system that includes family, friends, social workers, teachers, therapists, doctors, specialists, nurses, and strangers. So many strangers who care, who show compassion, and who prove that the world is a kind and giving place. Grit is not only helping our child to learn, but they are teaching us how to teach him, how to advocate for him, and how to believe in ourselves and our vision for his future. We expect Carson to have the same opportunities as his brother and sister, to be included in life's experiences, have a sense of belonging and meaningful friendships. Just as we earned a good reputation as capable advocates for his medical needs, we hope to earn a good reputation as capable advocates for his educational needs. We believe that together with grit, we can gather the necessary information to make that happen. In these days, I often wonder what I ever did to deserve this amazing life. Thank you all for coming out tonight, and thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your support.